Today on the Big 3 in 30, the Pacers make a trade on deadline day.
The Pacers add in a second rounder to get it done, and Kobe Brown is also coming and a part of this. So many layers to peel back.
The Bucks hold on to Giannis Antetokounmpo.
I can't say with 100% certainty there's no way he was going to be traded, but come on. Not surprised.
And the Lakers win, but Luka leaves with injury.
The Lakers just stayed persistent before Luka got hurt, and especially after Luka got hurt.
This is the Big 3 in 30 NBA. The three biggest stories in the NBA from our local experts at the Locked On Podcast Network. We bring you the real story, why it matters, what's next, who wins the big game, and more, all in 30 minutes. The Big 3 in 30 NBA starts now. Thank you for making the Big 3 in 30 your first listen of the day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com and win $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. The Pacers made a trade Thursday for Ivica Zubac and sent the Clippers a pair of first-round picks in the process. Tony East tells us why Indiana made the move on Locked On Pacers.
What a doozy of a trade, getting slight little leaks along the way through reporting up to the trade season. Jake Fisher talking about it last night along the way, connection via Michael Scotto, that the Clippers and Pacers might have a connection here. I predicted on the pre-deadline show, if you listened, that the Pacers' exact requirements for a trade like this would be Ben Mathurin, Isaiah Jackson, and 2 first-round picks, and I was very close to being right. The Pacers add in a second rounder to get it done, and Kobe Brown is also coming and a part of this. So many layers to peel back. We'll do a quick high-level reaction overview right now, and then I'll go into more detail later tonight and publish it tomorrow morning. But let's do the full package first. And what I think this signals before we talk about the specifics of the players. Ivica Zubac and his spectacular contract, given his production, is coming to the Pacers. 3 years, $58.6 million. He's extension eligible in early September. Is coming to the Pacers. Kobe Brown, a young player who has not panned out, but the last pick of the first round in 2023. He is coming to the Pacers, and the Pacers are sending to the Clippers Benedict Mathurin, Isaiah Jackson, their first-round pick unprotected in 2029, a 2028 second-round pick, and get a notebook down, write this down because I'm not going to repeat it, but it's very complicated. Their first-round pick this year, 2026, but it's protected 1 through 4 and 10 through 30. I want to go into a ton of detail on that tonight, but I don't want to get into that super much right now. A lot of game theory involved in that. The Clippers get it if it's 5 through 9. The Pacers get it otherwise. And if the Pacers get it this year, then a 2031 unprotected first-round pick will go to the LA Clippers. Wow, level stuff. So first of all, what does this mean? This is a 100% commitment from the Pacers to their current competitive timeline. They could have waited till the summer. Is Ivica Zubac going to be available in the summer? Or is another team going to trade for him now? I'll tell you guys that I heard of another team that did have interest in him leading up to the trade deadline like today, yesterday, whenever you're listening to this, right? If that is the case, that he could be gone to a different team today. He could be gone to that team in the offseason when contracts change and things of that nature. If you know right now as the Pacers that a value you like, and the value I predicted, by the way, was Mathurin, Jackson, and 2 firsts, so I was very close. If you know that player is available right now and you can get them, all you have to do is say yes. Then you should do it if you believe that player is going to keep you in contention or make you a contender for the rest of this current era of whatever that is. And it's very easy to point to what that era's timeline is. Ivica Zubac is under contract for the rest of this season. The value of that deal this year, not that important, but the fact that it's only $18.8 million or $18.9 million made this possible with just Jackson and Mathurin's contracts. Then next year, he's at $20.3 million, then $21.8 that following year. So fits well into their salary cap structure, which is, of course, important for this exercise. If you subtract out that Isaiah Jackson's contract is the exact same length, they're basically paying less $13 million a year for him by getting rid of Jackson's contract in this move. But also the length is important. All of these players' contracts end after 2028. Ivica Zubac, Pascal Siakam, Andrew Nembhard, Obi Toppin, and Aaron Nesmith. And potentially TJ McConnell, who has a team option following that season, right? It seems very clear what sort of timeline the Pacers have with this current core. And they could extend it beyond that. All those players, or most of them, are extension eligible pretty soon, basically outside of Nesmith. Halliburton runs through 2028, 29. But very clearly the Pacers who made the Eastern Conference Finals 2 years ago and the finals last year, view what they have right now as a window to win something of significance, whether that's a championship, whether that's mini playoff series, whatever. And I keep citing this stat in conversations with people, but very rarely actually say it on this podcast. And I think this is something that you have to believe in if you're the Pacers. They have never, with Tyrese Haliburton on the roster, they have never lost a series if he finishes the series healthy. He got hurt against the Celtics and they got swept. Who knows? That they might have lost that series anyway. The Celtics were awesome. They lost a game that he played that series, obviously. They lost games he played against the Thunder, but he got hurt in game 7 of that series. Every other series, if he finished it healthy and he played in every game of the series, they won. They won the series, right? Tyrese Haliburton is potentially that level of talent. Now, obviously, he tore his Achilles. The team is going to potentially look different as a result of that next year. His true level is now the biggest question mark of this era. But if they believe in him, and Pascal Siakam is still, as named by the league, a star-level player, and you have Nembhard and Nesmith and Toppin and McConnell on that team and in that core, they know that they can win something. Isaiah Jackson missed one of those playoff runs. Benedict Mathurin missed the other. They were obviously both crucial in the opposite one, but they know that this group that they have is competitive enough to win something good. But they were missing a center. Jay Huff had been fine in some games, but not all of them. Micah Potter has been fine in some games, but not all of them. Isaiah Jackson is now gone. He was fine in some games, and not all of them. They are all fine NBA players. They are also all clearly reserves to me. And I think the Pacers knew that, and this season had proved that. They needed somebody better at the position. They also needed somebody who fits into their salary structure so they can continue to build out their team. And I'll get into more of the salary cap dynamics of this tonight. I'll get into more of the pick protection dynamics of this tonight. But Zubac is very good and makes very little for his production. People laugh at his speed and his lack of shooting. Those are real things about him. He's not the fastest player. He doesn't even take threes. He hasn't taken one since 2022-23. He also averages double-digit rebounds a night and has for the last 2 seasons and averaged 17 points a game last year, 14.4 this year. Oh, by the way, last year, he finished 6th in Defensive Player of the Year voting and was on second team all defense. He is that level of defender. Last year, when the Clippers were good, with the Zubac on the floor, their net rating was plus 9.4. With him off the floor, it was minus 4.3. That's a 13-point swing for Zubac. That's bigger than Siakam's this year, right now. He had that level of impact on a good Clippers team last year. Granted, the Clippers have not been as good this year, and he has not been able to lift that group as much, but he has history, including his peak, obviously, last year, of being an incredibly good player, and that's a big part of this. And for the Pacers specifically in their current arrangement of pursuing certain kinds of centers on an incredibly affordable and manageable contract. That's awesome. That's exactly what they should want. That's why his name and Okongwu's kept coming up as like possibly the best targets for the Pacers in the cycle. They're really good, they're affordable, and potentially obtainable with assets the Pacers were willing to move on from. Now, that is obviously the other part of this that we'll get to in a second. They gave up real stuff. 2 rotation players, 3 picks. That's not nothing. But they get a player who is close to a dream fit or a dreamy fit, both financially and on the floor. Perfect timing in that the Pacers were ending practice as we showed up today to the facilities, and Rick Carlisle got to talk about the trade to us, saying about Zubac, his level of physicality around the rim is really one of the most prominent physical centers in the league. His physicality and skill and rebounding and offensive rebounding. Those are the things he believes that Zubac will bring to the Pacers. He said, we obviously feel the fit is good with Tyrese and Pascal, and our other veteran guys know that too. And then he later called him a top 10 center in the league, right? That is obviously high praise from Carlisle. So Zubac, very good. One of the guys that's been brought up many times. We talked about this. The price will be the point of contention for a lot of people, which I will get to in the second segment. The other thing the Pacers acquire in this, people have been asking me about him. I have very little opinion of Kobe Brown. He does not play all that much for the Clippers. He's never started a game. He's appeared in 118 games total, never averaged 10 minutes a game. This year for a at one time bad Clippers team, he's still playing under 10 minutes a game. They declined his 4th-year option. That doesn't mean it's over for him. That happened with Jalen Smith. He got traded to the Pacers and became good. But he's averaging 3 points and 1.5 rebounds per game this season, shooting under 40% from the field. But a fresh start in this situation might be decent for him. It's a development opportunity for him. I don't know what to make of his value yet. I don't really want to – I don't know that he actually pushes the needle hardly at all in this trade, but the Pacers stayed under the tax and could take him in. Why not? They're sending away 2 players. The Clippers needed to send out 2 players. There we go. So he is also a part of this. Who knows what his long-term outlook could be with the Pacers. They have 31 games or however many he plays to actually figure it out. But that is their return at the trade deadline.
It's the last call for football on FanDuel. One final Sunday, one last kickoff. The final chance to get in on the action before the NFL season officially comes to a close. This is Super Bowl 60, and FanDuel is making sure you're right in the middle of it with a special offer just in time for the biggest game of the year. Whether you're backing the favorite, riding with the underdog, or building one last same-game parlay, this is the game everyone's been waiting for. This is where predictions turn into plays, stats turn into storylines, and every snap feels bigger. It's the perfect way to cap off the season and make the Super Bowl even more exciting from kickoff to the final whistle. If you're a new customer, bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets if you win. Make it count, because after the Super Bowl, the season's over. Last call for football on FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of Super Bowl 60. Visit FanDuel.com to get started.
Welcome back to the Big 3 and 30 NBA. The Bucks entertained offers for Giannis Antetokounmpo all week, but didn't like any of them enough to let the two-time MVP go. Camille Davis and Justin Garcia look at what's next for Milwaukee on Locked On Bucks.
It is not the last call for Giannis in Milwaukee, Camille. We're not surprised. I can't say with 100% certainty there's no way he was going to be traded, but come on. Not surprised. The Bucks have long maintained we are not actively looking to trade Giannis. Like any divorce, in any dissolution of the marriage, it's going to require one party to say, I'm good. We got to move on here. And Giannis is yet to do that. The Bucks, quite frankly, I do feel confident enough to speak for the people I know and say the Bucks are never going to do that. So I don't want to continue to drag the national guys through the mud. If you want to do that, that's fine. We see a lot of it in the comments. There's always a morsel of truth to everything, so we do need to keep that in mind. But, it is very tiresome to see the constant, well, what about this? And now the immediate pivot with the reports come out of Bucks are not going to trade Giannis. Okay, that just means the summer, even though I'm the same one that told you, well, the offers aren't going to be that great over the summer, so you better do it now. Okay, well, in the summer, actually, they can get better offers. And just how we've continued to move down the line, that has been the tiresome thing in all of this to me.
It has been. And the fact that it's been 8 years of this, which is part of why some of the reports initially when they came out about, oh, this is the first time the Bucks trade, we've had trade rumors for 8 years. The difference in this year, and I believe Eric Name of The Athletic reported this in his article about the deadline, was that this was the first time the Bucks kind of just gauged the market because they know Giannis wants to play for a winner. And the Bucks haven't been a good team so far this season. So it got a little bit further than it has in the past. But ultimately, I think what both sides still want to happen is that Giannis remains in Milwaukee. And we made it step one. Past the trade deadline. Step one is complete. Giannis is still on the Milwaukee Bucks. Now we see what the rest of the season has, what the summer holds for this team. And then if he does put pen to paper for that extension come October. And that's when I will personally do my victory lap.
Yes.
When that extension comes, I'm always pretty cool, pretty even keeled. But if that comes, I will be insufferable for at least 2 days. I'm already going to say it. At least 2 days.
I'm right there with you. And we cannot ignore the elephant in the room. And I think a few of our live viewers with us here have already pointed this out in the comments. But Camille, just as we were getting set to launch this bad boy, Giannis Antetokounmpo was very active on social media, on Instagram. And I told you, look, big fella, don't toy with my emotions like this. I don't know how much of it I can take, but do you have the Instagram post up in front of you?
Oh yeah, I do. He also just posted this on Twitter as well about 5 minutes ago. It is the famous scene from Wolf of Wall Street where Leonardo DiCaprio's character is saying, "I'm not leaving," with some more colorful language.
There's a word missing there.
Not leaving, okay? With the caption that legends don't chase, they attract. And that is a bar. I don't know where he got that particular bar from, but that is a bar. The Bucks retweeted that message saying straight from the source. The Bucks got their little petty out as well by making a little breaking report news post of their own, saying that conversations have started about Sham's future and discussing whether the ESPN senior NBA insiders best fit is staying on Giannis's all-star celebrity team or elsewhere. I'm here for the petty. I love the energy right now. And again, I'm feeling good about this because I was anxious going into this trade deadline. But seeing Giannis is still here, the summer again will tell us a lot. But seeing Giannis's comments now, seeing the Bucks kind of co-sign that, it feels like they are on the same path forward of trying to figure this out here, which brings me joy.
So now the immediate question becomes, okay, what do you do with the rest of the season? Like, if I am to take this at face value, it would seem to indicate there has been some communication and corroboration between the franchise, the front office, and your franchise player to say, this is our plan. And plan may not have been said definitively, but at the very least, it was heavily implied, hinted at, and danced around in his communication with Eric the other night. So if I see something like this, this is our plan. Mm-hmm. This is how we think we can pull ourselves out of this. And this was, in fact, the gap year. And this was the 1 year where we take a bit of a step backward, but we have more things to work with this summer. We have the benefit of we are not up against the cap. We're not up against any of the aprons. We don't have to worry about the tax. We dodged that bullet. I mean, yes, you have some dead cap that you're paying, but that doesn't put the Bucks in a precarious spot this summer. And, oh, by the way, as we saw Bobby Marks point out too, like, hey, there's a lot of teams that have limited assets but more become available over the summer. Yeah. Fair to mention the Bucks are one of those teams as well that goes from 1 to 3, potentially 4 picks that you could at least include a portion of this summer and deal. So am I naive and crazy to take it as, okay, there's been communication and there's a plan and this is what we're doing. So now how do you handle the rest of the season if that's the case? And now we have TVs on in the background. It has made its way to ESPN this social media post. But if that's the case, how do you treat the rest of the season, Camille? Because Giannis himself indicated to Eric and The Athletic, I'm not just shutting it down. The plan isn't, okay, if you're not going to trade me, I'm not playing, or vice versa.
Yeah, it seems like he's planning to play, which puts all of like the tank command ideas and whatnot a little like, well, how does that happen if Giannis is playing? I'm curious to see that when he does return, if he's under a stronger minutes restriction or if he's still under that 30-minute per game minute restriction. And that's the way they try to massage it, by living in both worlds of, we know ultimately our best bet would probably be to try to get the best draft pick that we possibly can in loaded draft, or we play and we try to push to the playoffs. Because in the article from Eric at The Athletic, he was very clear, like, when Giannis comes back, the plan and the goal is still to try to push for postseason, which for me was like, okay, that's an interesting take on it. And it fits the persona of Giannis. We know he is somebody who does not like to quit. He does not like to tank. My personal opinion was that this would be the 1 year where it's like, hey, just let's take our time in getting you back onto the court, knowing that we have you going forward. If you're on board, let's just try to help us help you in this situation. And let's just kind of walk that back. But it doesn't seem like that's the plan. So I'm curious if you can live between those two worlds, or if it's just like, hey, whatever the draft pick happens to be for the 2026 draft, that is what it is. Ultimately, we're going to look to cash these in to bring someone else in anyway. So it is what it is at this point. So given the trade deadline that they had, with not really making any major moves, and disappointingly enough, as I know we'll discuss, not getting back any assets, it just seems like you kind of play this year out to see how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, yes and no to the not getting back any assets. I don't want to overhype the trade that the Bucks were a part of, but that is your asset that you got. And we haven't even gotten to it yet. We will get to that coming up on the show. But Ousmane Dieng, that's the asset. He's a 22-year-old. He was the number 11 pick in the 2022 draft. He was, ironically enough, taken one spot in front of his former teammate, Jalen Williams of the Oklahoma City Thunder. But there is certainly talent there. If you just look at the numbers and the box scores and the back of the basketball card stat, you're not blown away. You're not impressed by Ousmane Dieng. I'm not going to sit here and tell you the Bucks just got a young all-star, but who knows? This is the type of move I myself, you, a handful of us called for. Look, I don't think the Bucks are going to trade Giannis. I hope they don't trade Giannis at the deadline, nor do I think they should. But what I do think they should do is some type of asset accumulation because of the fact that they are not a tax team. They are not up against the first apron, the second apron, any of that. They can take back more money in trades, and they have room to spare. You should be a harbor for more money and say, look, we'll give up. We got a lot of 1+1s and expiring deals. We'll give those up and we'll take back money. We'll take back years on contracts, but it either has to be a young player that we think we can develop into something that you don't have room for, and or it has to have draft picks attached to it. They only made one of those moves. I was hoping to see more than that, but they did make one of those. So Ousmane Dieng is that one that they made that reportedly is coming in here to the Bucks. So who knows when we'll see him make his debut.
It's the last call for football on FanDuel. One final Sunday, one last kickoff. The final chance to get in on the action before the NFL season officially comes to a close. This is Super Bowl 60, and FanDuel is making sure you're right in the middle of it with a special offer just in time for the biggest game of the year. Whether you're backing the favorite, riding with the underdog, or building one last same-game parlay, this is the game everyone's been waiting for. This is where predictions turn into plays, stats turn into storylines, and every snap feels bigger. It's the perfect way to cap off the season and make the Super Bowl even more exciting from kickoff to the final whistle. If you're a new customer, bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets if you win. Make it count, because after the Super Bowl, the season's over. Last call for football on FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of Super Bowl 60. Visit FanDuel.com to get started.
Welcome back to the Big 3 and 30 NBA. The Lakers got an impressive win over the 76ers last night, but Luka Doncic left the game with an injury that has him questionable for LA's next game. The Kamenetsky brothers with Locked On Lakers go over everything from the victory.
They got a really impressive 119-115 win over a Sixers team that has played well with both Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey available.
And let's not forget VJ Edgecombe, because there were some plays in this game where that kid was fantastic.
He's going to be so good.
You and I were texting during the game, and I said that while I'm not enough of a basketball historian to truly say this with any authority, if somebody that I considered a basketball authority, or at least somebody more of an expert than me, said that Tyrese Maxey and VJ Edgecombe is the fastest starting backcourt in NBA history, I'd be like, yeah, that sounds about right.
I buy it. Those guys get up and down the floor.
It's funny when you were saying that the Lakers were playing like a team that had been distracted or preoccupied, or maybe just getting through the emotional whirlwind of the trade deadline. And we've covered the Lakers, we've covered the NBA, different sports for a long time, and the deadline in any sports, particularly the NBA, which can be really active, it is nervous time for a lot of players, even players who've been around for a long time. I remember one of the years where Rondo was with the Lakers, and Rajon Rondo was a pretty been there, done that guy in the NBA. He admitted one of those years, like, yeah, I was concerned. I thought there was a possibility I could get traded. But what's funny is in the first half, the two guys on the Lakers, Luka Doncic and LeBron James, who knew more than anybody damn well I'm not getting traded. Like the two guys.
They were terrible.
They spent the entire trade deadline going, I don't know who's going to be on this team afternoon Pacific, February 5th, but I'm damn sure I will be. Those two guys were struggling mightily. Like, we'll get into Luka's injury, which happened in the first half. He didn't finish it, but the first half of the game, Luka and LeBron had a combined 14 points on 4 of 18 shooting with 9 combined turnovers. The first quarter of this game in particular was possibly the worst quarter Luka and LeBron have ever played together. And I think it was definitely the worst first quarter period, because that is typically Luka-palooza, when Luka just goes off. They both were just struggling, turning the ball over. I think Luka was getting unhappy with some non-calls. LeBron, to his credit, fourth quarter played much better, but a lot of this game was a struggle Luka did not play in the second
LeBron,
half.
to me, and tell me if you disagree, because the other half of this was not just the deadline, but it's also, I think, the first game back after a long road trip is often a challenging one.
Yeah.
LeBron looked like a 41-year-old guy who'd been on a lot of airplanes over the last couple of weeks. It took him a little while to get going. We've mentioned it's not that LeBron can't turn it up. It's not that he can't have really good moments or really good games.
And he turned it up in the fourth quarter of this game.
He did, absolutely. His floor as a player now is just significantly lower than it used to be. Like you get more possibility of quarters, halves, even games where it's just like, wow, that's a really bad LeBron or low output LeBron game. But he was able to come back, and like, to their credit, look, they got a little lucky. The Sixers missed, the Lakers turned it over, I think 7 or 8 times in the first quarter. The Sixers were almost entirely unable to take advantage of it because they could not shoot to save their lives. They would get up, they got up 6, 8, 12 a couple times, but they had the opportunity. If they were playing better, shooting better, they could have been up by 20, 25 in this game, and they weren't. And the Lakers just stayed persistent before Luka got hurt, and especially after Luka got hurt. It looked like a hamstring injury. Lakers call it lower leg soreness.
JJ said afterwards that it was hamstring that felt sore. He said, we don't know enough yet to know whether or not it's an injury versus soreness. There really are no details beyond that. I think they're trying to remain optimistic that it isn't anything bigger than that.
Right. And he walked off the floor, clearly annoyed, clearly in pain, but wasn't, like Peyton Watson, for example. He left the game Wednesday, I believe it was, in the fourth quarter of Denver's game in New York, and was holding the hamstring the whole time, clearly limping on his way off the floor. He's going to be out for probably a month to 6 weeks. So like, you can see a little bit of a difference just in terms of how each guy handled it. That's not a medical evaluation, but we'll see. Everybody's got their fingers crossed. The way the Lakers, I mentioned this in the open, the way the Lakers came back in this game and then took a lead and then kept a lead. It starts, and we can start here, with Austin Reeves, who was reminding everybody the season that he was having before he had his own injury, between changing speeds to get to the rim and some incredible perimeter shot making. It was like, oh yeah, that guy was going to make an all-star team before he got hurt.
He, towards the top of the fourth quarter, went on essentially an 8-0 run himself that shifted the game from 93 to 87. He had back-to-back threes, followed by 2 free throws that put the game at 93-87. But keeping with just the nature of this game and how haywire it had been for the Lakers the entire time, while they were somehow staying in this game and at times keeping the score inexplicably tight. And you're like, I don't understand how they're doing this. The first of Austin's 2 threes in this sequence, Stu Lance actually yelled no, because the ball had been swinging around as the clock was running down. Maxi Kleber, who we'll talk about later, played terrific in this game, but he risked a shot clock violation swinging the ball one last time to Austin. Even though Maxi was open and the clock was down, he left Austin with like 0.4 seconds left, which I guess lucky number for the Lakers, but 0.4 left, and he was at least 4 feet behind the arc, and he buried this thing. And then the next three he made, I'm pretty sure it was Quentin Grimes, was all over him. But like, that moment in and of itself was like, what are you doing? And Stu Lance going, no, after Maxi passed it. And they still managed to make it work.
So we'll talk. This is an important win. An important win, not just for keeping up with the Joneses in the Western Conference. Denver continues to sort of figure out how to get it done, and they're fighting injuries. Minnesota got a little bit better on trade deadline day. It doesn't get easier in the West. So you need to keep winning to stay out of that play-in area. But this is an important win for how they got it, and sort of showing the team something about themselves, because this was a top to bottom contributions from everybody who played in this game.
That's all for today's Big 3 in 30 NBA. If you follow football or college sports, the Big 3 in 30 has shows for the biggest news in the NFL and on campus going up every weekday, just like this one. Just search the Big 3 in 30 NFL or the Big 3 in 30 College, wherever you're listening or watching now. Thanks again for tuning in to the Big 3 in 30 NBA.